There's a moment in life when you can hear something break long before you see the cracks. For me, it happened on a quiet Wednesday evening, in the kind of stillness that usually makes a house feel warm. But not that night. I was sitting at the dining table, finishing leftovers, paying more attention to the ticking wall clock than the food. My wife, Hannah, sat across from me, tapping her thumb against her wine glass the way she always did when she was winding herself up for something serious. She looked calm, too calm, and without warning, she exhaled and said, "Jake, we should talk about opening our marriage." My fork didn't just slip, it fell from my hand. At first, I truly thought she was joking. We'd been married nearly a decade. We'd seen job losses, hospital visits, family funerals, aging parents. The things that are supposed to bond two people tighter, not send them drifting apart. But she wasn't smiling. Her face didn't crack. Her voice didn't shake. She continued talking, slow and steady, as if she had practiced the lines in a mirror. She said words like freedom and growth. Said she needed new experiences. Said she felt stuck. Said I was too predictable. And then came the one line that cut deeper than the rest. She laughed lightly and said, "It's not like you'd actually find anyone, out of your league." Something inside me sank. Not anger, not shock, just that heavy, silent kind of hurt that wraps around your ribs and squeezes. I didn't argue, I didn't yell, I didn't beg her to stay inside the marriage she was already halfway out of. I just nodded, not because I wanted an open marriage, but because I refused to plead for love I no longer recognized. Over the next several weeks, I watched Hannah become a version of herself I'd never seen. Late-night showers before going out with friends, new dresses that weren't for me, perfume that didn't smell like home, secretive smiles at text messages she thought I didn't notice. She moved through the house like someone who'd already left in her mind. I didn't confront her, not because I was weak, but because I was thinking, waiting, watching, trying to understand where I fit in the picture of this new marriage she wanted. Then one evening, something unexpected happened. I went to a friend's backyard gathering. Nothing loud, just soft music, older folks catching up, simple food, a slow, easy space where a person could breathe. That's where I saw her, Olivia Bennett, an old acquaintance from college, the woman everyone used to whisper about, not because she was flashy, but because she carried herself with a quiet confidence that turned heads without trying. Back then, I admired her from a distance, but I never dared approach her, mostly because Hannah, my girlfriend at the time, told me Olivia was way out of my league, and foolishly, I believed her. But at that backyard party, Olivia recognized me instantly. She smiled, warm, genuine, the kind of smile that reaches the eyes. "Jake, wow, it's been years." We talked, not the stiff, polite talk you give strangers, but the easy kind that flows without effort. She remembered details about me I'd forgotten, asked about my work, my hobbies, whether I still played guitar on weekends. She actually listened, not distracted, not bored, not checking a phone every 2 minutes. It had been a long time since someone looked at me like I mattered. When the evening ended, she touched my arm and said softly, "Don't disappear another 10 years. I'd like to talk again." Something warm and unfamiliar moved in my chest. Hope, a feeling I had quietly buried for months. Over the following weeks, Olivia and I talked more. Slow, thoughtful conversations, the kind older souls appreciate. We didn't flirt, we connected, something Hannah hadn't tried to do with me in a long time. One night, Olivia admitted, "In college, I wondered why you never asked me out." I laughed a little. "Hannah told me I never had a chance." Olivia blinked in disbelief. "Jake, you should have decided that for yourself." Her words hit me harder than she knew. A few days later, she invited me to a small art event. I almost declined out of guilt, but when I walked into the gallery and saw her waiting for me, with soft lighting behind her and a gentle smile, I felt something shift. She walked up to me and said, "You look nervous." "I am," I admitted. "You don't have to be, not with me." No kiss, no drama, just her hand brushing mine as we walked, and somehow that tiny touch felt more honest than anything I'd felt at home in months. Everything changed a week later. I came home to find Hannah pacing, furious. "Are you seeing someone?" she demanded. I didn't answer. Her voice cracked. "With who?" Silence. Her eyes widened, and suddenly she whispered, "Olivia." No, Jake. Be serious. She's out of your league." That's when something inside me finally snapped free. "You opened our marriage," I said quietly. "You told me to explore. You told me I'd never find someone above you." She swallowed hard. "I just didn't think you actually could." "That's the problem," I replied. "You never saw what I was worth. Not once." She sank onto the couch, trembling. "I thought you'd always stay, always wait." "I did," I said, until waiting meant losing myself. There was no screaming, no throwing things, just a silence so deep it felt like the end of a long, worn-out chapter. A month later, she moved out, and Olivia, she didn't replace my wife. She reminded me I had value I had forgotten. One evening, as we sat on her porch with a bottle of wine, she rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, "You were never out of my league, Jake. You were just with someone who didn't know how to see you." For the first time in a long, long while, I believed it.